Okay, guys.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's, we're gonna call the meeting to order of the Jackson County Board of Adjustment. If, the secretary would, call roll call.
A. John Barnes,
Here.
Daryl DeBoer,
Here.
Pete Fish,
Here.
David Kendall.
Present. We have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. And before you go to any further in the agenda, could I make the suggestion to amend the agenda per the public hearing notice? Because on this agenda, we left off election of officers.
I move,
Okay.
I move we amend the agenda to allow for the election of officers as the last item on the meeting.
Okay,
So we had a motion, we got a second. All in favor, motion with an aye.
so that would turn into number 8. And then 9 would be the adjournment. Thank you.
And, now we need to, approve the minutes from the October 28th, 2024 meeting.
I move we approve the minutes as distributed of the October 28th, 2024 meeting.
Second. We have a motion and a second, all in favor, motion with an aye. Aye. Now we'll proceed to, the public hearing. Public hearing docket 25-01, special exception from Thomas Buddy, 4059 435th Avenue, Preston.
Can you make a motion to open that, please?
Do we have a motion to open that, the public hearing?
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Then. All in favor, motion with an aye.
Aye.
Do I need to start over?
No, you're good.
No. Lori, do you want to start with anything that you know, or should we start with the applicant?
I don't have a problem start with the applicant because this is not major. It's pretty simplified, other than we have not had any written or verbal concerns from any neighbors in the area. That I know of. I don't know if this gentleman's here for this case. Okay. So,
Are you the applicant? Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Just move up to the front seat and state your name and tell us what you're gonna do.
Well, my name is Thomas Buddy from Preston, and I'm looking to build a shop on my property. And the required setback is 15 foot in Jackson County, and I'm asking for an 8 foot, 8-inch setback so that I can keep my walls 10 foot from the fence because I have a 16-inch overhang. So I'm just asking to allow for that. So I'll still have 10 foot to drive through. And
Okay.
I talked to the neighbor. He doesn't have an issue. He didn't contact Lori about it. But the neighbor and I are friends, classmates, and
Okay.
his words were he didn't care if I built right on top of the fence. So
All right.
it's next to a pasture, so I'm not blocking anything. I'm staying back for all the other setbacks are good.
You have good confidence that the fence line's where it is,
I
where
do. I bought the house 7 years ago and was told then that is the exact property mark, so.
Okay.
Who's the neighbor? Is that Grossman?
Well, it was Ibis. Now his grandson Jeff, actually, Ibis still owns the other side of the road, but Jeff owns the pasture.
Okay.
but I think it's only in contract. I think Jeff's buying it on contract, the way the
He's listed as the owner on the beacon is all I know.
under, yes. But so's Ibis.
Oh, he is?
That acreage, did Ibis own that at one time?
Where I'm at?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Yeah.
I think Bernie and Phyllis bought it from Ibis.
the prior owner you.
Yes.
Is there any other way you can position the building to stay the 15?
Not without tearing down my existing barn. I wanted to go 50 by 70, but so I amended the building to go 40 by 80 to squeeze it in there.
What's the existing building? I see where your house is, but then the existing building that you're spacing off of is, what's that building?
That's a small barn,
Okay, a small barn, okay.
yeah. And then there's a feeding area, a poured floor around that barn.
Okay,
So I'm trying to leave enough room to have a walkway through there to get through with the skid loader. And then still have 10 foot on the other side of the building to the fence.
and as you go to the south of your proposed new building, does the land fall off quickly or is it flat in there?
It falls off to the east.
Okay.
But not to the south. The south is all
Okay.
good.
And as the photograph is shown here, is north to the top or what is?
Yes. So that existing, that white shed right here in the picture, that's actually a portable building. I've moved that. So that's where the shop's actually, the new shop's gonna go.
So to the right of this is what you're calling to the east?
Yes. So none of this land falls, I mean, there's a slight decline, but it doesn't fall off until halfway down the property. And that's when there's a little bit of a valley that goes down in there.
Did anyone drive by this? Okay, I figured you did, John, because I knew we talked about it. So yeah, where the side one that he has, that's facing north. 435th Avenue is a north and south road. So the west is
435th.
435th.
Yeah, that's right. See, it's set up differently on Beacon.
Oh, you have a different, well, this is the picture I took off of me.
Oh, we
Except
must
it's
have
flipped.
printed it.
It's flipped.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
It's a reverse negative there or what?
I don't know. I think this is right. I think that is flipped. That's
Because
why.
the picture that you have there.
Yeah, this is right.
this is right.
The same. This is the north.
Oh, you're turning, oh, okay.
Oh, I see how you get, okay, yeah, this is the picture that I'm looking at.
Okay, I guess.
We're good.
So. as
I
look
see what
at
you're
this,
saying.
I thought you were saying this is north. I thought, thank you.
No, this.
That isn't what I saw.
This is north. I see what you got there.
All right. Yep, now I get it.
So this is the right north-south orientation, this one.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the other one is if it's held portrait
If-
or
yeah,
landscape.
right,
rather.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, the one's
That makes a lot
copied
more
from
sense.
us and one's, yeah,
So the sheds, how tall is the shed to get even,
It'll have 14-foot sidewall.
and, it's just a normal shed,
Yeah,
and you just for your own personal use.
yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? No.
I do not.
I'll just ask another question. Is there a possibility of putting it on the south side of the house?
On the south side of the house,
Or south in this open area there?
out here?
Yeah.
No. No, this is all good usable pasture,
Yeah,
and this is basically a rock knob.
okay. All right, well, that. Is there, anybody else want to speak for the applicant? Nobody else is here.
there's
for-
nobody online either.
Nobody, and is there So do we have anybody, anybody that's opposed to this application?
I have not heard from any neighbors that were opposed. I had some concerns from a neighbor until I sent them the packet.
Okay.
And then they realized it was not blocking any. They were worried about a view being blocked from their driveway. That's a non-issue after they saw the packet
No.
and realized it was to the north of the house and not closer to the road and not to the south of the dwelling. So that, after getting good information, they were good.
Yeah, didn't want to say anything else.
No, I'm
That just
good.
said everything needs to be said, right?
Nope.
I move we close the public hearing.
We have a motion, and we have a second. We have a motion and a second, all in favor of the motion with an aye. Aye.
Aye.
Right. Anybody think? What they let that, probably freezing now, I think, I'll just do this ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, doesn't seem to be any objection. So, yeah, I guess I don't have any problem with it.
It looked like a reasonable
Yeah.
solution to me, quite honestly.
I mean, it's just a good use of his property, he's not, it isn't like he's 5 feet from the property or where it's right stand.
And it sounds like actually, if you were to put it to the south, where it's good pasture, sounds like maybe that's where somebody would have had a problem with it, and so,
Right.
you know,
There's also a septic tank there though too.
right?
Hey, I just had to ask.
Oh.
No, and actually, if you don't mind me saying something, the neighbor that was concerned about this, the other neighbor just built a shed right across their back property line, so they can't see out. If I was to put it to the south, it would completely block their house in. This is the only usable spot that I can put a shed.
Okay,
I move we approve docket number 25-01, special exception for Thomas Woody.
I'll second it.
okay, so we have a motion to approve. Docket 25-01. All those in favor, motion.
And just one, oh. Aye,
Or do we need a time?
yeah, that's what I say about the time limit for the
How
construction.
soon you get doing?
We were pouring concrete in April and the shed's supposed to go up in May, providing Hirschberger Construction is. He called me on the way up tonight, wanted to know if everything was approved, so.
9 months?
Yeah, 9 months, I'd say.
Do you feel comfortable?
I'm hoping it's done in May, so 9 months is
Ample?
great, yes.
Okay.
9 months from the time of that, from approval.
Okay. So all in favor with that added? Motion with an aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Thank you. Just give me a call and we'll talk about the
I'll need
next,
a building permit.
a zoning permit for
Okay.
that, yeah. And your application's already started, so basically we'll just add to that application and there's, what's our fee, 50,
75, I think.
$75. So if you just wanna stick a check in the mail or
Perfect.
well,
Or I'll step out right when and just leave it for you.
okay, that'll work too.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bet.
Are you guys gonna have to come back in?
No, I'm gonna just write.
Oh, right there, okay, because I was gonna say, have one of you guys stay inside, because the door is gonna lock. On the big doors, sorry, okay, I apologize, fellas. Okay,
Are we ready?
yep, so your next one is, on the agenda is,
Number 4,
yep,
zoning ordinance update project. Chapter 4.
okay, all right, Laura, let's see if we got your volume up high enough.
Okay, can you hear me?
Let me try to get you a little bit louder. Yeah, let's see where you are.
Okay, how's that?
I think we're better guys, right? Hang on, let me just try it. Just take it up to the max. Now let's see.
Test.
There, I think you passed the test. That's all we got to work with.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure what's in the packet, Lori, so, if you can, if you want to just move that item and
All right, do you
Okay.
want to start with the red line or do you want to go through,
I would like to start right here. That's great.
Alright.
So my name's Laura Karstens. I'm a senior planner with ECIA. I'm helping Lori and Becca and the zoning commission with an update of the zoning ordinance. And so one of the things that we are looking at is making it a more user-friendly ordinance for staff and for the commissioners, the board, and also for our customers. So what we've done is we've taken the information that's in the current ordinance for the Board of Adjustment and put it in its own chapter just for the board. We did the same thing with the zoning commission, gave them a chapter of their own. So in terms of what we did in this chapter with the redlining, what we actually did was pull in some information related to the Board of Adjustment from things you already have established. And one of those things is your rules and procedures for how you handle meetings. And so this first section, proceedings of the board, uses the rules and procedures that were adopted in 2017. And as far as I know, that's our most recent set of rules. And so what happens in the red line is the red is generally new text. If it shows up as green, it means it was already in your ordinance and it's just been moved to a new location. The process I was trying to do here was to kind of put things in a hopefully a more logical order for you. So really for the first 2 pages, that's what we're doing here. We're just really bringing in your rules and procedures. So Lori, if you want, we could go on even to page 3, I think. Unless there's any questions on pages 1 and 2, we can go to 3.
Okay, so stay in the red line then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we did when we get to page 3, we start to now deal with a process for the public hearings and decisions that the board makes at those hearings. We go to the next page, which is page 4, you can see what we did is we moved a lot of information out of that and put it somewhere else. So at the bottom of the page then, kind of reestablishing the very bottom of page 4, Lori, you can bring that up. We're starting to reestablish the powers and duties for the board, dealing with appeals, special exceptions, and we go on to the next page. Again, we move some things around. So here's that information. It seemed like it was kind of the cart before the horse, so we've reordered it here. So that green means it was already in your ordinance. And then if we want to move to the next page, I'm on page 6, Lori.
Okay.
We added some more information in here about public hearings. And so that kind of takes care of that appeal section. Next section is special exceptions. This one we didn't have as much that we needed to rearrange, as you see on page 8. 7 and then 8 remain pretty much unchanged. And then again, green means we move something into a different spot. And then we start with the variance. And when we get to page 9, we have some standards for review. And these might be easier to look at in the clean version, but for right now, let's just stay in this one. You can see we've added some recommended standards for review. The idea is to really help explain the complexity of the role of the Board of Adjustment with variances under the way the Iowa courts and Iowa code kind of really constrict what you can do.
Well, did I send you the information about the, I forget if it was a Senate file or if it was a House study bill about making changes to the Board of Adjustment duties or the definitions of for a variance and basically changing.
No,
Oh,
I haven't seen that. That would be great. I would love to see that. That
Yeah,
might
because
change
they're
how we
looking-
do this.
The standards for review are looking to change. I forget the exact word. Do you remember the exact word, John, what they said they were looking at for the change instead of the unnecessary hardship?
Okay.
Sometime, it's still about a reasonable,
return.
Yeah, it's on 4.6B. I think 2A, which says that you have to, that a failure to yield a reasonable return may be shown by proof that the property owner has been deprived of all beneficial use of the land.
yeah, that's what the current law is written, but they're looking at relaxing a little bit, Laura, potentially.
That would be great if we can get that. What we'll do then for the board is we'll make the changes consistent with the Iowa code.
If it changes. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get it prepped so we're ready.
Okay, got you. I didn't remember if I sent you that or not.
I don't remember seeing it. If you could send it to me again, that would be great.
I'll look for it and do that. I've been watching a lot of bills, so. Go
So
ahead.
with that pending, Lori, my suggestion here is that we go ahead and take a break from this for the board for tonight.
Okay.
And let that legislative action come through, and then we can come back and visit with them. If you saw anything you were concerned about, though, please let Lori know, and she'll get a hold of me, and we'll work towards getting anything adjusted.
Can I ask you a question?
Pardon me?
Yeah, can I ask a question of you now?
Sure.
Is there any litmus paper test where it's easy to decide black and white when someone's request is pigeonholed as a variance and when it's pigeonholed as a special exception?
Do you want me to answer that or do you?
Well, I can. The regulations that say when something is a special exception, are pretty clear, but we are also trying to make them more clear. If you can't meet the terms of a special exception, then you're into the variance or an appeal. And so we're trying to, what we've done with some of the other clients that we've worked with is try to make sure people understand how hard a variance is, although maybe Iowa legislature will loosen up a little bit and try and steer them into special exception opportunities. Laura, you want to add anything to that?
We do a lot of that in our office. Someone will come in, let's just use the gentleman that was here. Say he originally wanted a 5-foot setback. That isn't going to work as a special exception due to the fact that it's more than 50% of the quantitative. So 15 feet is our regulation. So if he was asking more, if he was asking me closer than 7 feet 6 inches, he's more than 50%, because half would be, 7.5 feet.
I get
Excuse
you.
me, it'd be 6 feet, excuse me. He'd have to be 7 feet 7 inches, because he could be no closer than, he couldn't, it has to be less than a 50% ask to be
But
considered.
where is that? Is that in here?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah,
It
it's, if we get to special exception, that starts, we should have, special exception. If you go to your clean version on page 4, under the 4.3, it goes, the powers and duties of the Board of Adjustment. So it talks about appeals, special exceptions and variances.
Oh, I see.
And this,
Okay.
and under number 2B, it talks about the modification of, less than 50% of the requirement.
Okay, I missed that. Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's okay. It's your first meeting, okay? It's all good.
But this case is a great example of how the staff can get someone to that special exception, which has a much easier test, much easier to get an approval than a variance, which is very difficult. So we'll see what's going on with the legislature, Lori. Come back and visit the board maybe in a month, or probably April at the latest. See if we can get something updated. Again, we're trying to make this easier for everybody, but we also want to make it comply with Iowa code. So at this point, I think if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll see you all in a month or so.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for your service.
No other questions for Laura, guys?
No.
Okay, thanks, Laura.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
That's done. Were you here about the ordinance, or did you just have comments from the public?
Neither. I'm just observing.
Oh, sweet.
Okay, so are we done with the talk about the ordinance and, the update?
Yes, sir.
And we discussed in general, one night, I think we were talking about this, and several months ago now. And I apologize, I'm a bit of a cold, so sorry for me to
Oh, that's
talk
okay.
about that. And I think it came up when somebody had put in an application and it didn't show up. And we discussed if there are ways to force them, it is the wrong word, but, require at least some sort of representation from the person submitting the application to, take a few minutes out of their day and come explain it to us.
It's one of those where we have different things that go on occasion where it's in our ordinance, we run people through for like setbacks. I tell people it's not the foundation, it's the closest point of the structure to the property line, which is typically your eave, soffit, or gutters. And that is a standard thing that we say, and people are like, oh, you didn't tell me that. It's like, yeah, we did. And I had one guy, it's like, well, my builder, my designer said it's the foundation. It's like, no, it's not. And then when we got it, it's like, you need to set this up for the closest point, the eave. It's like, you never told me that. It's like, yeah, we did. So we actually have we're developing our applications to show a check mark or them acknowledging certain things like, yes, I have been explained to, I understand that the closest point of my building, which could be the eave, soffit, or gutter, not the foundation, is what we're doing our measurements from. And just like if we need to add something else when we're doing our Board of Adjustment or zoning commission, we might need to add that. This was one of those where, yeah, we did tell you. And it's one of those, why are we sending your neighbors a notice and telling them to come to the meeting if they have concerns, if you're not allowed to be here? But yeah, that doesn't happen very often. I think it's happened once that I can remember in 3 years. and you guys have been on for a long time, I mean, it was a bad situation. And we reiterate that like crazy.
But again, that's a question that we all, even though they checked it off, and even though you ask it, we always ask it again. And just for clarification, because it seems to be confusing to them,
Yeah,
you know, that
but if we
the
put it,
protrusion is the gutter, not the foundation.
yeah, but that's why it's like, you
Right, I
check
understand.
right here, these are your initials. I understand that, you know, so it's, we talked about that, cause it's like, we had another one question, it's like. That was part of our discussion when we sat down and discussed this, when we were doing our pre-application visit. But it's just, we really need them to verify that they understand what they're doing.
And you
And
haven't just put a check mark, or do you have them actually initially?
we don't yet, that's
You
not
should
part
have
of our,
initially.
that's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not part of our process at this time, but we're looking at making it part of the process. Just to,
Easy to do.
you know, it's the burden of proof, basically that they did have that information. And it comes back on this office. It's like, well, I didn't know. It's like, yeah, you did.
I think another one that falls in that is the total height. Because oftentimes they talk about the height of the sidewall. We don't care about that. I want to know where the height of the peak is, or the height of the cupola, or whatever the
Yeah.
highest point of the structure
Well,
is.
and actually the way they measure is the half, and this was, you know, coming from the appraiser world, is like, this is dome, but I was taught in this role, you take that point of the top of the eave and the point of the peak, you cut it in half.
Right.
So it's not to the peak, it's to the midpoint of the
Right.
peak.
So,
It flattens it out.
right.
However, in the time I've been doing here, I haven't had anybody get close to the maximum. Because the maximum building height in all of our districts is 35 feet.
Yeah. But as an appraiser, you're measuring volume or area, and we're more interested in aesthetic height.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so it's.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
that tends to be a problem in Leisure Lake and in the Dressler subdivision over in Bellevue.
Which we haven't gotten anyone getting close to that height limit.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's
That's all.
yeah, us tall. We're not getting
But aren't
tapping.
these rules set forth somewhere like in the zoning ordinance?
Yeah, we're rewriting it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
it won't
it's-
change.
Despite whether you tell them or not, it's on them to familiarize themselves with the zoning ordinance. I mean, that should never be a, he said, she said,
I
I
know.
thought you, I misunderstood, blah, blah, blah.
I know,
I mean,
but
we don't
that's-
care.
not the way it works.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you different worlds here, and we try to make sure that people have good information. We try really hard. But sometimes people hear what they think they know.
Oh, what their neighbor told them was the way to do it.
Coffee clutch, yeah, I hear that too. Yeah, I know. But we try our best, and this is just one other way to, you know, try before it gets too late where they have to redraw their whole plan or something, you know, just try to stay ahead of it. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so this is part of the rewrite, John, of the ordinance, and she just wanted to pull out the Board of Adjustment part for you guys. The zoning commission is tasked with ordinance review and rewrite.
Okay.
And Laura is acting as a consultant for us based on her role at ECIA, which is a larger organization we belong to, or the county belongs to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a cost share in that, so we're getting a discount,
So she's not
50%.
only drawing on experience from the other 5 counties, but the whole state.
right? And I saw her experience she was the what was her title? Basically the zoning director for the city of Dubuque for
Right.
almost 40 years.
Yeah.
So she has a vast background in ordinances and writing. But yes, we've actually pulled definitions she actually pulled definitions even this week because we're having, as you guys know, seasonal dwellings are kind of a iffy thing in our county. You know, what is a seasonal dwelling? Well, the seasonal dwelling in Dressler's Edition 40 years ago was a lot different than the seasonal dwelling that the guy can live in year round now in Dressler's Edition. You know, they used to be the old fishing cabins and now they've expanded to be dwellings that can be lived in. So let me see, where are we on our? We were talking about that. So no items from the board. How about elections, guys?
I move that we elect Mike Nickerson as our chairman, Daryl DeVore as our vice chairman, and Becca as our secretary.
I am.
Right?
I am.
Lori.
Lori's the
I can't.
Syrian name.
I'm your clerk.
Pardon me,
I'm your clerk.
you're the clerk, okay.
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to
No,
remove
that's-
me from being the
No,
clerk.
that's fine, I
Okay.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, she's clerking, but I'm clerking, but she's
Okay,
takes notes.
that sounds fine.
Okay.
I second it as amended.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Next items from the staff.
Speaking of which, someday she might be your clerk. We don't know what the future holds, but, before the end of the year, I'll be retired. Just so you guys know that. But I haven't there's nothing official out there yet for dates.
Anybody else have anything else they want to speak about?
Aye.
You want to say something?
Nope, just wanted to see what it was all about.
All right. So anybody, looking for a, motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, motion with an aye.
Aye. So John, how long was it that you were trail riding? 20 years ago?
No, I mean, I still do,
Oh,
but yeah, goes back a long time, I'm 72,